Hello, I'm Frankie Vu and welcome back to Conquest TV. In this video, I'll be taking you through issue 4 of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, in which you'll be introduced to the disease-stricken Pac Walkers and learn how to build and paint them. We'll also look at squad warfare, organising models into units that move and fight together. And we'll find out how you can use your newest paint, Bugman's Glow, to make all your models look even better. Let's get started with a look at the new background pages in this issue. Issue 4 is loaded with information about the followers of Nurgle. You've also got a profile of the Pac Walkers, unfortunate humans who've been infected by one of Nurgle's plagues and now shamble into battle alongside the Chaos Space Marine forces of the Death Guard. There's also an awesome gallery of colour schemes for different Death Guard warbands, known as Vectorians, and each example tells you a little bit about who they are and how they fight. From the Putrid Choir to the Weeping Legion, there's sure to be something to inspire your own Death Guard collection. I'm sure you're dying to build your Pac Walkers, I know I am, so let's get cracking. If you look at the Pac Walker sprue, you'll see that the models come in fewer parts than others you've built so far. 3 of them are just a single part that only needs to be slotted into its base. The other 3 are each made up of 2 or 3 parts that only need to be clipped out and pushed together like so. Follow the instructions in the build guide of issue 4 and you'll have a unit of Pac Walkers ready to be painted in no time. This issue adds another new paint to your collection, Bugman's Glow. This colour is perfect for base coating flesh, creating a great contrast to the bold colours and metallic silver already on your models. Later on, we'll be looking at adding Bugman's Glow to a lot of the models you've already painted. But first, let's see how it and other colours work on your new Pac Walkers. Remember to wash out your brush after each colour and bring it back to a fine point, and to change your water regularly. Painting the Pac Walkers is a bit different to the other units you've done so far. They don't have large areas of armour like the Space Marines and Plague Marines, and they're the first of your models to use all 6 of your paints. Here's how to get them looking great. Like the Plague Marines last time, you want to base coat your Pac Walkers with Death Guard Green. In this case, it represents their diseased and rotten flesh. Now, there's a lot of detail on the Pac Walkers, so it's especially important to thin the paint before applying it. The mutated Pac Walkers have so many warts, pustules, tentacles and growths all over their bodies that will look great painted in Bugman's Glow. Look carefully at each model and decide which parts you want to be in this colour. Then neatly paint them. With things like tentacles, it might not be clear where the mutation ends and flesh begins. This is a chance to make your models your own and choose for yourself where you want each colour to end. Remember that if you go over the bits you'd like to have in green, you can always paint Death Guard Green back over them when the Bugman's Glow is dry. When you've added the Bugman's Glow, it should look something like this. Like the Space Marines, you should paint pouches with Abaddon Black, along with boots for those that have them, but there are a bunch of other details that it's a good idea to paint black too. In these cases, the black will act as a primer for Lead Belcher, which looks better over black than over Death Guard Green, or for other colours that you'll get in future issues, like Bone for horns. So once you've painted with the Abaddon Black, it should look like this. Several of the Pac Walkers are carrying crude weapons like lengths of pipe and axes. Paint the parts of these that would be metal with Lead Belcher. Some of them have chainmail as well, which will look fantastic in silver. Once you've added Lead Belcher, it should look like this. There's not much gold on the Pac Walkers, but small details like charms and Nurgle runes or spikes on weapons will look great and really draw the eye. This is an example of what I mean. Many of the Pac Walkers used to be soldiers or workers in Ultramar, the realm of space ruled by the Ultramarines. Because of this, they have scraps of cloth in blue, a popular colour in that area. So pick these out with Macragge Blue to finish off your Pac Walkers for now. We'll go back to them in future when you have more paints. But in the meantime, this is what it should look like with the Macragge Blue added. While your previous warriors are all heavily armoured, some of them will also have areas of flesh showing that you can use Bugman's Glow on. The sergeants of both Space Marine squads have bare heads, for example, as does Plague Champion Repugnus. To see which parts of the models to paint with your new colour, check the painting guide in issue 4. Trust me, the mutant mouth on Repugnus looks really cool once you paint it with Bugman's Glow. You now have 4 units, 2 each for the Ultramarines and Death Guard. But what exactly is a unit? It's time to find out. For tutorial mission 3, Squad Warfare, we're going to see how these units work. So gather your mat, rulers, objectives, dice and datasheets, and let's get started. For this game, we'll be deploying our models in their units. Each set of models you have so far is a unit, and that means that your Space Marine army consists of 2 units. One made up of 3 Intercessors, and one of 3 Reavers. The Death Guard army also has 2 units. One's made up of 3 Plague Marines, and the other one is made up of 6 Pac Walkers. When a unit is set up at the start of the game, every model in the unit has to be placed on the gaming mat within 2 inches of at least one other member of the unit. When a unit moves, advances, charges or consolidates, all the models in the unit must end that move within 2 inches of at least one other member of the unit. You might hear this referred to as unit coherency. As you've not yet used the Pac Walkers, it's probably worth taking a minute to get to know them. You'll find their characteristics and abilities in issue 4 alongside a recap of the characteristics for your other units. Now you'll see that Pac Walkers are neither as strong nor as tough as Plague Marines, so it's easier for the Space Marines to wound them. They also don't have any ranged weapons, so they can't fire in the shooting phase. The Pac Walkers also don't wear armour, so they don't get a save, but don't count them out of the fight. Pac Walkers have the same disgustingly resilient rule as Plague Marines, so they ignore wounds on a roll of 5 or 6. They also have an awesome ability called Curse of the Walking Pox. Anytime an enemy model is taken out of action by a Pac Walker in the fight phase, you can add a model to their unit. This represents their fallen foes succumbing to the curse and joining their ranks. When a unit shoots, they all fire at the same target unit as their leader orders them to deal with the biggest threat. If you have several models shooting with the same weapons, like Intercessors with their bolt rifles, you can roll all the dice to hit and wound at once rather than one at a time. If a unit is firing different weapons, like the Plague Marines, who each have a unique ranged weapon, you must roll to hit and to wound for each one separately. When a unit takes wounds, its owning player can choose which models to remove. If a unit has more than 1 wound per model, wounds must be put on one model until it's removed. Then a second model can be wounded. A unit can charge as long as one model from the unit is within 12 inches of the enemy. Of course, since the whole unit is charging, the whole enemy unit gets to fire Overwatch. Any models that can see anyway. When moving charging models, the charge is successful as long as one model ends up within 1 inch of an enemy model from the unit being charged. Don't worry if some models from the unit don't end up within 1 inch though. They will get their chance soon enough. When a unit is picked to fight in the fight phase, before they activate, any models not within 1 inch of an enemy can pile in. To do this, they can move up to 3 inches, but they have to end that move closer to the nearest enemy model. If they get within 1 inch of an enemy, they can fight this turn. Like with shooting, you can roll all your hit, wound and save rolls at once, unless there are different close combat weapons being used. For the units you have, this only applies to the Plague Marines and their champion's Power Fist. Remember to roll for it separately from the Plague Knives. When a unit consolidates, all its models can move up to 3 inches. Now it's time to bring everything you've learned together and get all 4 of your units onto the gaming mat as you fight the battle for the cruiser. The fight to control the stricken cruiser Honor of Ultramar has reached its peak. Victory will go to the side who can control the critical react events or destroy their foe entirely. To deploy your forces, make a roll-off. Both players roll a dice, with the highest scorer placing one of their units. To do this, position one of the models in the unit on one of the deployment points, and then place all of the other models in the unit so that none of them are more than 2 inches away from at least one other model in the unit, and also no more than 4 inches from one of your deployment points. The other player now deploys one of their units in the same way, taking it in turns deploying units until they're all on the mat and ready for battle. In this mission, each force is trying to capture an objective from their enemies while defending their own. You can either win by wiping out the enemy force or by scoring more victory points. Every complete enemy unit you remove from play is worth 1 victory point, while controlling the objective marker is worth 3. The game lasts for 5 battle rounds or until one side is wiped out. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Conquest TV. Now you know how to use your units, and your next issue is going to add a new kind of unit. A powerful hero who fights alone and adds extra abilities to the rest of your force. Lieutenant Calcius is just the first of many heroes you'll receive throughout the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest collection. So head to the website and check out the subscription offer now to ensure that you get them all. Until next time, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon.